Well, hello again, everyone. It's time for the August update. Earlier on in the month, we had the first trip out this year in the kayaks, and it was lovely to be back out on the river. It was quite quiet on the river. There weren't too many other boats about, although we did see one motorboat and one narrowboat. Also got some nice footage of a heron and some baby swans, or juvenile swans, I suppose they were. I also discovered a little flaw with my shower toilet area cladding job I did some time ago in the motorhome, and I had to do a little bit of alteration to put that right. I just noticed that this board must flex away a little bit, just in these locations. It's obviously just not quite tight up against the back there. Now the shower curtain does come around in front of it, but that's not ideal. I don't really want water getting down there, so I want to do something about that. So I bought this white plastic angle to seal up that joint. I can sort of bed that on, fix it with the adhesive and seal the edges, and that will prevent anything dripping down the back there. But the first thing really is to remove that sealant bead. Right, now let's measure it up. I would say 710 mil. Well, there we go. Got a reasonably good fit there, but you can see in the corners here, it's not going to go right back because of this angle trim. So I'm just going to mark off the position of those angle trims and just cut this back portion off. Right, well, you can see even after that, it still needs some adjustment, because although that fits, now this bit at the bottom is not gonna allow it, so I need to cut that across at an angle. So I'll mark that up and I'll cut that next. Right, now that should stick straight in. I'm going to do that now. Using the same sealant that I used on the bathroom job initially. So there we go, that's stuck in place, but obviously there's some quite open joints there, so I'm going to silicone it all up. But first I'm going to mask it off with some masking tape. There we go, that's it all siliconed up. Got a couple of slightly dirty edges on it, but I'll clean that up later. Now, sadly, we haven't really got round to any airbrushing this month. But Chaz got in touch with me and he has managed to source me a spare petrol tank for the Mutt Mastiff. So the plan is to paint that, and then we can replace the petrol tank on the bike but still have the original petrol tank to put back on if we want to restore it back to original. So that's a little project I'm quite excited about getting going with, so I'm hoping to be able to start that soon. And now it's time to open the post bag and answer some of your questions. AB asks, would you consider getting a drone for aerial views of your trips? A drone is definitely something I've considered. In fact, I do have a drone. Nikki kindly bought me one a couple of years ago, and whilst it flies very well and the camera works when it's on the ground, for some reason the connection between the camera and the phone to record the footage is lost as soon as you take off. So I haven't really managed to capture much aerial footage with it. It did work once. I got it to work fully once when we were on a trip to Derbyshire, and there is some video of that on the channel. I'm put off really investing too much in a drone because of all the rules and regulations that surround them. I know you can buy the lightweight ones that sort of get round that a little bit, but I'm constantly hearing complaints about people flying drones and people who've flown drones and had complaints made against them. It just seems like a lot of hassle, and yeah, I don't really know. I do like the drone footage, but yeah, I think there's other things possibly to invest in first. I've got problems at the moment with the laptop. It won't run any more sophisticated editing software than Windows Movie Maker. Everything you see is made in Windows Movie Maker. And that does have its limitations. So I think probably the next investment in the channel is going to be a better laptop rather than a drone. Darren Jordan says, are you planning on going down any more caves soon? Yes, underground trips have been a bit thin recently. I do prefer mines rather than caves, and of course I did recently go to the 2021 National Association of Mine History Organisations conference in Shropshire, but unfortunately it had to come back a bit early after having only done the one mine trip. In answer to the question, I don't actually currently have any fixed plans for an underground trip, but I would rather like to get some in the calendar, but the calendar is looking a little bit crammed at the moment. But don't worry, I'm sure there will be one coming up soon. I shall make a special effort to get an underground trip done. Anthony Beaumont wants to know, are you planning anything in Yorkshire? Well, of course, we had a little tour around Yorkshire last summer. We did our sort of tour around Helmsley, Whitby, that sort of area. I would like to go to Yorkshire again. We did very much enjoy Yorkshire, but we haven't got any fixed plans in the calendar to go to Yorkshire yet. I am of course limited by the amount of annual leave I've got. It's a bit far probably for a weekend. Well, having said that, we've been much further for a weekend before, but yeah, if we go to Yorkshire I think we'd probably like to make it at least a long weekend. Bernard O'Mahony says, are you planning to take over the world now that the e-bike is fixed? Well, I could hardly make a worse job of it than those currently in charge, could I? But no, I wouldn't really want that responsibility. Tony Cook wants to know, why do they call you Billy No Mates? Yeah, I do seem to spend an awful lot of my time presiding over empty, disused places. Not really sure why that is. Tracy Bates asked, how long does it take to edit the vlogs? Well, that does vary quite a bit, of course, between videos. depending on the length and the complexity of what I'm trying to do. But it's always at least a few hours. I don't think probably ever less than 2 or 3 hours for each video, and sometimes probably as much as 7 or 8, but very rarely all in one sitting. I tend to do it in the evenings in sort of dribs and drabs, really. If you include things like converting the video from a project file to MP4, of course that adds to the time, but you can go and do other stuff while the computer is sorting that out for you. Windows Movie Maker that I use does have some limitations. You can't sort of have multiple soundtracks on it and things like that. So quite often if I've got a voiceover and some music I want to add, then I have to make one film with the voiceover and then make another project of that to add the music over the top. It does have some functionality to add a separate voiceover track and music, but it doesn't work very well, and the voiceover tends to be really quiet, and it all just goes wrong once you start trying to use that functionality, I've found. So easier just to keep layering it over the top of previous project files, but that does all take quite a bit of time. But fortunately, for much of it, you can just leave the laptop to it to sort itself out. Brian Clark says, if the answer was 42, what was the question? I believe the supercomputers are still working on that. You may have to wait another couple of millennia for the calculations to be complete. Terry Cubberley asks, who is number one? You needn't concern yourself with that. Number one has been eliminated. He won't be making any more mistakes. Peter Burgess wanted to know what changes I was going to make to my diet to make the weight loss graph take a downward turn. That is an excellent question. And I know Peter advocates the regular consumption of chicken sausages, and that is indeed something that I've put into practice, and you'll see that coming up in some future videos. A couple of things that did help in the past that I've fallen out the habit of was to have boiled eggs for breakfast instead of my regular granola type cereal, so may well go back to boiled eggs as well. Helen Pemberton says, is the bird about to make you clean your windows or your carpet? Well, Helen, the thing about birds is you never know what they're going to do next, do you? And now it's time for your favourite and mine, the charts. So we've not done too bad on the step count this month. You can see there is one massive day in there, and the reason for that will become clear in a future video. As usual, sleep isn't particularly great. There's only a couple of days there that we met the target. Heart rate, again, there's a couple of big days there, and they tally up with those big step count days. And yeah, you will see the reason for that soon. Weight loss, you can see the start of a downward trend. I wonder if we can keep that up. Similarly, we've made a move back towards the right track on the Walk 1,000 kilometre challenge graph. And yeah, that tallies up again with those days with the big step count. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Give the like button a press. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see some more.